Welcome to the show and thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Aaron Hepler. Today we have my good buddy Troy Dietrich on the line. Troy is an avid whitetail hunter, a family man, and really a man of God. Troy and I built a really strong friendship by meeting on public land, quite honestly. We have shared a lot of hunts together and lots of years having just fun scouting and doing that kind of thing in the woods. Troy runs a really cool big buck contest that we get to talk about this year. He really had a really cool community event this year surrounding that, so we dive into that. We dive into some good buck hunting stories and maybe a couple little tips on shop too. So enjoy the show. Thanks for tuning in. This is In Camp Podcast. On the other end of the line, folks, we're just chit-chatting a little bit, catching up, reminiscing. We have Mr. Troy Dietrich, also known as Troy Dieterich. If you ask my wife how to spell his name for the Christmas card.
Yeah, that's how most people. That's how you know it's a telemarketer calling when they pronounce it like that.
Yeah, or Helper. Everybody calls me Helper.
Helper.
So what's good, man? Are you? Can you? We'll get into the good stuff. But how's life? Are you busy? You gonna do some scouting this spring?
Yeah. I wish I could say a positive yes on that, but we'll see. Spring's kind of the busiest time of year, I feel like, for just having a farm and homestead and all that stuff. It's like just as soon as it greens up, you're just going like crazy.
Yeah.
Until
Well,
the dark.
if you all don't know, I'll save Troy this part of the intro, but he's a boss, like a real boss, and he's got a farm, and it's a boss farm too. It is what everybody wishes they had as far as a deer hunting farm goes. And you should go listen to the Land podcast and listen to Troy's story about it, because he will tell you that you can do it too. So, without further ado, Troy Dietrich, tell us a little bit about yourself, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I'm 35, I guess. I got 3 kids under 5, and just busy. I help my family run a business, a small business. We got 20 employees or so that always keeps us busy. And doing farm improvement stuff just for deer habitat work. And yeah, I don't know, big time bow hunter. That's what I live for. That's what my brain is just always on, that and following Christ.
Yeah. That's an understatement on both ends.
Yeah.
You follow Jesus like the boss that you are, and you are a whitetail nut. And it's funny because we'll probably get to it, but really Troy and I this has kind of been like a theme with the last couple of people that I've had on, is we really met because of hunting. And
yeah, I was going to say that.
We're gonna talk about our story at some point in time. Why don't you tell me, just like kind of an icebreaker thing, why don't you tell us a little bit about your property?
Yeah, so I own 52 acres in southeast PA, kind of in like a more suburban area. A lot of times people will hear southeast PA and I think they think of like Lancaster, but I'm in Montgomery County, so I'm like towards Philly more. I'm like an hour outside of Philly. But me and my wife were able to pick this place up 3 years ago now, and it's been just a tremendous time. Just fixing up the house, fixing up the property. It was kind of rough shape when we got it, and just experimenting with all kinds of things, deer hunting, habitat improvement wise, and also trying to raise a family. So I wish I had more time to do stuff like that, but I do it in all my free time that I can stir up here. But it's about 26 acres of woods, and the rest is in just tillable fields. I converted a couple fields over to what you call it, like old field conversions, just kind of turning it back into brush and trying to create more bedding areas for the animals, or for the deer rather. And yeah, it's got two streams that run through it, and it sets up really nicely. I got some neighbors and development behind me and stuff like that, so it's not just like total rural here, but it sets up pretty nice.
I feel like the work that you did on it this year was like a massive change, and I think it really came together with how you put it together this year. Like, I know you had sent me some pictures of the fields and how you mowed lanes and that did that kind of thing for like manipulation of movement and that kind of thing. I think it's kind of cool to see your property now, what it is now compared to what it was 3 years ago, because even just the small changes that you've been able to make have been like a big improvement on your hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. I only have like a few small food plots. I think it's like a total of like three. I think it's actually less than 3 acres of food plots.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest, I mean, I do have maybe 10 acres of tillable that my buddy farms, so they do eat that. But obviously, it's just like open fields, and half the time it's not stuff that the deer are going to consume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did add like switchgrass and all kinds of stuff to that old ag field. And yeah, it honestly, it was like, I didn't think it was going to take off that great the first year. And it's not awesome, but it's awesome how the deer used it more than a regular field. Like early season, early October, late September, I was having a mature buck just in the field, in the middle of the field, just moving through that tall grass and stuff like that. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. You had a really good early start, I thought too.
Yeah.
I think the other cool thing is watching you learn how to really navigate the property as far as like access for entrance and exit, and you have that creek bottom that's always been really difficult for you to hunt because of the wind. It's kind of a tight valley in there, but you really kind of figured out a couple ways that you could hunt it this year and actually got to. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's always tough down there. You pretty much have to go through the property to get there. I wish, in a perfect world, I wish that the creek had more water in it, and then I could put in upstream and then like kayak down to my
Hmm.
property. It'd be so awesome if I could do that, but it just there's not enough water.
Yeah.
You can after a storm or a flood, you can float down it, which honestly I probably should try to keep my eyes on that like this year if it gets a little higher water, and just do it like a one time deal and try to sneak in there on them, because it's hard to get down there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be ideal. And it is because it is like it's one of the coolest looking spots on the property too.
It's super awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to hunt, and there's not like real thick bedding down there. But if you could sit with your back at the creek, which is how I usually try to do it, but come in from the stream, yeah, I think it would be pretty untouchable.
Yeah. So those of you who have not met Troy, know that he is a scouting fiend, whether it comes to public or private, and has put on more miles than most of the people that I know. And it's actually how we met. Like I said, we're going to talk about how we met. I'm going to keep referring to that because it is probably one of the most exciting things about this podcast. Is going to be something we're going to talk about a little bit later. But what do you think about the differences between the way you scout public versus the way you scout private, and maybe like how one helps the other?
Yeah, I mean, for one, scouting public is way more fun than scouting private, unless you have like a massive, massive piece of property that's
Hmm.
private. That's literally non-existent in Pennsylvania, pretty much. Because when I say massive, I mean like on public, when you get to be able to just wander for thousands of acres, it's
Hmm.
it's totally different than scouting a 50 acre piece or so. But yeah, scouting. I think you're trying to speak this into existence, saying that I'm a scouting fiend just because you want me to go scouting with you this year.
I mean,
Aaron's the one that keeps me accountable for actually doing this stuff. He's like, "When we going? When we going scouting? Let's go, let's go." I'm like, man, every year I like feel like I let you down because I have no time.
no,
But
we still make that one time a year always happen usually.
yeah, yeah. Usually it's around Easter time. That's like when I met you like 5 years ago or something
Yeah.
like that. It was Good Friday or something
Yeah.
like that. But anyway, yeah. In relation to scouting public and private, I mean it's totally different. I feel like with public land you get to you get to call your shot a little bit more of where you want to hunt, how you want to hunt, and how you want to access and everything like that. With public, when you have 50 acres or whatever, there's only so much you can do. You
Right.
know, it's like you have like three scenarios in entrance and access, and with public, it's like, okay, if I jam this up, I could just, hop over this next ridge and hunt with the wind in my face over there, kind of thing, and hope that something comes through. But but yeah, a lot more exciting. Definitely scouting public land, but learning how deer move. I mean, deer move totally different on. When I think of public land, I'm always thinking like big timber properties.
Mm.
So I'm used to, you know, looking for that kind of sign and finding good setups in big timber, like where we kill, our deer on public.
Hmm.
Um, and on private, it's just a lot different because you actually have like bigger food sources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not bigger food sources, but you know what I'm getting at. You don't have an ag field in the middle of public.
Right. Not as concentrated,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not and maybe more obvious too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
where we hunt together on public, it's like there's really food everywhere when you think about it. There's nothing that's like, oh, they're over here eating under these 5 acorn trees. There's
yeah.
like
That
eighteen
doesn't
thousand
exist.
acorn trees,
Yeah,
and more than half of them produce. So it's not
and
like,
I would
oh, they're going to a field of beans, you know?
and I would say that with public, like, man, when we were, I mean, you still are obviously, but when I was eating up with just hunting public land and stuff like that, you'd listen to every darn podcast you could that was in our geographic area, Ohio, Virginia, all these places that actually make sense. You can't really,
Mm-hmm.
you can relate, but it's hard to relate with the guys that are talking about Iowa and the Midwest hunting public and stuff like that. Just, you know, big timber in Pennsylvania and all these northern states or northeastern states and stuff like that is just, it's totally different. But you just would constantly hear stuff like that, like not to knock on anyone, but it's like, yeah, you just got to find this tree. You just got to find this white oak patch, and and just sit there, and you got to find a scrape near the white oak patch. So it's like, dude, where we go, it's like, okay, there's a white oak, there's a white oak. The ground is littered with it. Literally, it's almost a tripping hazard. There's so many acorns on the ground.
Yeah.
You're like blowing out your ankles because you're like walking on marbles. Um, so I feel like scouting public is, I don't want to use the word like woodsmanship because I don't feel like I'm an excellent woodsman, but um, it's a lot of just experience and like a lot of gut decisions,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's, because we're when we hunt the public that we hunt together, I mean, I know you've rifle hunted it here and there, and not for a very long time. And I don't know that
Hmm.
I've ever really, well, maybe like I took it out midweek, like take the gun for a walk midweek or something
Hmm.
I don't think I've ever had a buck tag and hunted there, but it's all, it's all, we're scouting, like you said, thousands and thousands of acres, and you have to find the spot that puts the deer in bow range.
Yeah,
And
that's the exciting part, though.
yeah, and I think for you especially, the last time that we really got to hunt up there together, uh, or one of our last hunts, you killed a deer with your trad bow,
Right.
and to break apart a piece like that and then find a spot that you could really get close enough to shoot a deer with a trad bow is, it's not it's fun to do it. It's fun to
Yeah.
find that little micro spot. I remember we went through, I don't remember if I walked through that in the spring or something, or I walked past it in turkey hunting and saw all kinds of deer in there or something. I was like, we got to put a camera in there. And
Hmm.
I think that year we got a lot of that one camera that was on that little terrain feature that you killed your buck over. We
Yeah.
put a camera not far down from that and decided, oh, this would be a good area because there's crossing, there's all kinds of crossing on this terrain feature here. And I think that's, with a compound bow, you still got to be close, but with a trad bow, man. I mean,
Yeah.
what's your goal with a trad bow? 10, 15 yards?
Yeah, 15 yards and in for sure.
Yeah. And you killed that deer at like 7 yards.
Not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the foot of my tree.
What a
It was
day
like a
that
straight
was. That
down
was so
shot.
much
It's
fun.
awesome. But even that day, it's like, to dive off topic here, but um, it like you were getting at, it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack a little bit. I mean, that buck I shot, was nothing tremendous, but it was just a good, respectable Pennsylvania 8 pointer.
Hmm.
Um, but that morning, I think I had like three or four different unlegal, not legal buck come by, and then I had like doe bedded like right under me. It's just like it's kind of surprising when you zoom out and look at the big picture. It's like there's either deer everywhere or you're in the right spot
Hmm.
because I mean, how many times have you hunted up there and just not seen anything, But you're just in the middle of thousands of acres, and you're like, wow, I had multiple deer within bow range, and I killed a buck that day. So it was like just when you think about it, it's like that's pretty incredible that a buck walked by one tree that was within 15-yard shot of
Yeah.
sitting.
Yeah. It's literally throwing like something into a mosh pit and then going and finding it. I do
Yeah.
remember that you kind of had to scout your way in there because neither of us had been into that spot for a while. I
Hmm.
just remember, I think I had passed it once or twice that season and thought, oh, there's a lot of new rubs that direction. Like, that might be a good area. We were looking at the wind together and, like, oh, that might be a good area for you to try out. Based on the fact we didn't even have cameras in there that year, but I remember that we had some cameras on either side of it and deer were traveling in that direction. And I
Hmm.
sent you in there, and I do remember you kind of had to scout your way in and kind of,
Yeah, I kind of thought I missed some better spots. It's like, man, I should have set up, in this pocket that how it goes when you're scouting your way in to find a tree. You're like, this looks pretty good, but you want to like go over the next bend a little bit, and it's dark,
mhm.
so and we're going in at 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But yeah, I remember passing some spots that were like, yeah, I probably should have set up there, and I kind of did a little bit of a loop around my tree, which you just like hate to put all that ground scent down, but you just gotta get over it, and just pick a spot, and it looked good. I think I walked past it, walked back to it, it's like, all right, this spot looks pretty good. There's a little terrain feature, a little like drainage, no water through it, but when it floods, water goes through it, and then just an opening on the other side of thick mountain laurel, and
Hmm.
just but you're always questioning yourself because there's openings everywhere. It's not like that's the only opening, right? It isn't that Laurel. It's like there's an opening here. You can walk 50 yards. There's another opening.
Yeah.
50 yards down the slope, there's another opening. So it's like, where do it's so you can't really just like write a script for it and be like, this is the spot to sit. You just kind of have to look at the terrain features, look at some trails, and go with your gut.
I think that's a good point too on when you're talking about the type of cover because so I was out scouting today, really just shed hunting because I don't really hunt the area, but I was with a buddy and he wanted to check out this one end of the ridge. We walked down the ridge. You could play baseball in there, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure there are deer that use it. Like obviously there's tracks and there's scat everywhere, but then you have to really what you're hunting versus something like that is you have to put it in perspective of the right time of the season because
Mhm.
I'm sure bucks use that ridge to cruise on or get away during rifle season to just like put a lot of space between them and some and another hunter, but we're not really I mean, we're looking for some rut action. Mostly pre-rut is what we really like, but we're
Mhm.
really looking for what's going to make those bucks hold in that area for a long period of time. Maybe even if they're taking a break, are they going to get up and walk around and I'm going to have an opportunity at that point? Or are they trying to lock a doe down in here or, find doe bedding? So I think that's one thing on areas like where you killed that buck, like you're saying, is like
Yeah.
which opening do you pick?
Yeah, and that was November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, November 1st. And yeah, he was all twerked up, rubbing a snot out of a tree, wheezing and coughing, and just he was a
Did
mess.
you grunt him in? I
Uh,
don't remember.
I mean, I probably blind grunted him
Mm-hmm.
in. I mean, that was the morning that you had your incident,
Yeah.
but And I remember texting you, and I was like, because I'm not like a blind grunting kind of guy, but I was like, "All right, I'm just gonna, right at first light. I'm like, I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm gonna hit this grunt tube a couple times, grunting in like a spike or something like that. And then an hour later, I did it again, grunting in a different like spike looking deer. I'm like, man, this is interesting. I'm like, I guess I should just keep on doing this every now and then
Hmm.
because it's working. Obviously, it's calling an immature deer, but something's got them piquing their interest. Maybe there's probably a hot doe in that general area where the scent was traveling around a little bit, and then they would hear a grunt and come in. So yeah, I would say I blind grunted him in, but he came in super slow, which just made it that much more exhilarating. It's just like took forever for him to come in, and he was like 30 yards just directly down below me. Even basically, my wind was almost going to him. That's another thing I was going to touch on. And I just see the top, and it was windy. It was really windy that day
It
too,
was,
which
yeah.
might be helping us. But um, top of the tree just whipping back and forth, like a 3-inch sapling that was like 20 foot tall, just going back and forth and like crazy. And I've seen that before in that same woods, and that's like what keyed me in onto that's a deer, because you see this bush whipping back and forth more than the wind would. And yeah, he was just snorting and coughing and ripping that sapling all to shreds, and then I grunted him into there. I blind grunted him into there, I guess I would say.
Hmm.
And then when he was rubbing that tree, I was grunting at him and stuff like that. But like he would not even. It was like he was deaf. I wouldn't. He must have subconsciously heard me,
Yeah.
because he came out of a string right to me, basically. But he never acted like he heard me. But I'm sure he did, But so I guess you could say grunted
Well,
him
I
in.
mean, when
But
you watch that video and he comes in, it's like he's in zombie mode. Like he's just, like you said, he just came in
yeah,
on a string. But he was
yeah.
wounded too.
Yeah, he had a monster, just a wicked gash or something in his shoulder. I don't know if it was from a broadhead or a fight, but
Yeah, it looked like time marks almost.
yeah, it was gnarly. Actually, that shoulder was just totally wasted. I didn't even keep it. He was wounded and
That was not the only morning that we've had up there together like that. And we've had a lot
yeah,
of really good hunts up there together.
yeah,
But this was like technically it was almost the second time that we doubled because you killed a deer at your house the one morning when I ended up missing one that one year,
yeah.
and last
You
year
killed
I hit a
that 10
real
pointer up there.
what yeah, and I hit a
That
real
that
big buck last year when you ended up getting that deer and we almost got to walk out with two. One year we're
yeah,
gonna do it at some point.
that was such an awesome experience. Besides you not finding that deer,
Well,
but
it happens,
everyone's
but
heard that
it
story.
was a really awesome experience because everybody. We had a couple guys come and we packed you out, and it was
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
so
sweet.
such a good time and such like I mean that was your first buck up there, and we had put I think up to that point we had put 3 years into really scouting that area really hard together and
Yeah.
hanging cameras and getting after it, but
Yeah, that was one other thing I was going to say about public versus private. I feel like private, you have to be, and people may disagree with this, but I feel like private, you have to be so delicate with like your wind and stuff like that. With public, I mean, some guys can probably have a deer on public honed in to where, Jake Bush style, where they just know where they're at, kind of a thing.
mhm,
But the way we hunt, for the most part, like we have a general idea of what's up there. We have a general idea of good spots, and we just kind of always have in the back of your head that you might kill a 100-inch buck or you might kill a 160 or something like that. It's just like, and so you can't get too hung up. For me, I don't get too hung up on the wind. You try to do your best with creating a tactic, but once you're up in that tree, it's like at this point, a deer could come in any direction,
mhm.
and some of the spots that we hunt are somewhat close to some access trails and stuff like that, which we found that, you know, sometimes you don't have to get too terribly far off of that, and that might even help the wind situation a little bit, the scent situation.
Yeah, it helped me with that first buck that I killed up there with you. That was
Mhm.
I think that was our first fall hunting together.
Yeah, yeah,
And I remember realizing like not realizing how close I was to the access trail until a hiker
yeah,
like somebody was walking by at like
yeah,
20 yards, and I'm like, "Holy crap. Good thing I killed that buck first." But
Yeah.
So since we're alluding to it and we're talking about it, why don't you go ahead and tell people how we met?
Yeah, so actually we met up there where we killed these deer that we're kind of just digressing about, or reminiscing about rather. Um, I just went up to this piece scouting. I just started studying the maps and kind of picked this place out of the blue. It was about an hour from my place, and um, went up there shed hunting and scouting by myself one day, and it was epic. It was sweet. It was a good day. And then as I was coming out, met up with you, was walking down the road, and I think at that point we had talked somehow on
Yeah, I
Instagram
think so.
before. I'm not even sure how those algorithms like ended up because we didn't have any friends. What do you call them, mutual friends or anything like that. So, and that was kind of before, like, I mean, it wasn't before podcasts, but I don't think you had been on like a ton of podcasts or anything like that by
I
then.
don't think
I'm not
so.
sure how I found you. But anyway, we had words on Instagram. I think one thing that stood out to me was I think your Instagram said something about Jesus follower or something like that. I was like, "All right, I could relate to this guy."
Yeah.
And I don't think, we didn't we didn't really catch up too much, but when we met up with each other in the woods there, we're like, wait, yeah, I think I actually talked with you before, and you were out shed hunting and I was out shed hunting and scouting too. And it was kind of one of those deals where I think we both were like, all right, well, we're not gonna like just tell this like random guy we met in the woods like all my secrets here,
We
like
both did
we
that.
don't have much secrets. It was kind of your stomping grounds more, but it was like, we were being a little tight-lipped, just like how you would be with anyone that you just meet for the first time. And by the time we got back to the truck, we're like, yeah, this guy's all right,
Yeah.
And we kind of swapped numbers and swap some more deeper intel, if you will, and just kept on talking from there, and just began a good friendship.
Do you remember this? So I remember I found three really good sheds that day.
Hmm.
And I remember you riding your bike up behind me, and you were riding way faster than I was. And I was like, oh man, this guy's going to catch up to me. And I remember thinking, like, all right, well, I got one shed that I can show him that's out. Like, I'll just show him that one, I don't have to tell him about all these. And you're like, oh, you find any sheds? And I showed you the one I found, and I was like, yeah, this is it. And then, did
Yeah, I
I
remember you
show
had a
you the other ones when we got back to the truck?
I think so because I remember you had like three of them on you, but the one was like on the outside of your pack.
But I remember like still kind of telling you like, oh, I was over this direction, and
Yeah,
and at some point we were texting for like 3 weeks, like, oh, this spot and like this, look at this deer and like all that stuff. And
yeah,
I remember, I think I remember you had messaged me shortly after I was on a podcast with Tony Peterson. I
okay,
think that's how you asked me some kind of question. I don't remember. And then I had seen you had a video up and stuff, and I was like, oh, this guy. So I remember at some point, because we also talked about our faith together too a little bit. And I
yeah.
remember at some point I was like, all right, I got to come clean. And you're like, what'd you do? I'm like, I lied to you about a lot of stuff. And I think you were like, all right, well, I'm going to forgive you, but don't ever do it again. And like, I remember since then, dude, we've been such good hunting buddies. And this was, this was 2020, or no, it was 2021,
No, it's
2020.
like 2020.
Yeah. And we like we were talking about hunting all year long, could not wait to get out
Mhm.
there. We set out cameras that year. We were patterning bucks. We got on a buck that you had been chasing the year before that we both were obsessed, like we just were like ate
Yeah,
up with it.
yeah. We were running cell cameras and sharing cell plans by
Yeah,
within a few months in.
yeah. Exactly. Might as well have moved in together. uh, but we had Jared in the mix, and Jared put some cameras up with us too, and um, we got that 10 pointer killed that first year hunting together. And I remember that we were all so pumped and packing that thing out, and it was just
Yeah, that's
a
awesome.
really cool thing. And I think the one thing that people miss is of course you don't want to give all your super information away, especially if it's just somebody that's going to be an acquaintance or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Some dork you meet in the woods.
yeah, dork you meet in the woods. But I think the one thing that we're starting to learn is there is some benefits to kind of building a network in public land hunting and getting to know getting to know the other people that are going out there with you, and because we have quite a few buddies now.
Yeah,
I am at the center of a lot of people,
right.
and everybody seems to know each other's name, and like, oh, where's he hunting? Oh, he's got cameras over here. Okay, like, but I think the cool thing is there's so much respect involved with that, even for guys that I know that hunt this end versus the guys that hunt that end, and they don't know each other, but I know them, and I tell them like, oh, hey, yeah, so and so hunts over there. Oh, I was up in this area, I saw a camera. Oh yeah, it's probably this guy's camera. And I think there's so much respect that comes from that. Like,
Yeah,
nobody messes with each other's SD cards, or like, hey, do you mind checking that camera for me while you're in there, or like sharing intel, that kind of thing. And I think it's so helpful. But what have you noticed about maybe the benefits of hunting partners, especially ones that you've met, like this old fella?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's you've been a huge asset to since you live closer to a lot of these places and have a little bit more time on your hands with your
Oh,
career.
telling
Uh,
me.
but yeah, you got a sweet deal there for the hunting life. But yeah, yeah. Anyway, back to the hunting partners thing. Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, you kind of probably dozens of guys that are from that area and hunting general areas in that area. But even through you, I know probably half a dozen guys that you end up chatting with throughout the hunting season, stuff like that. And you might not be reporting everything to everyone, but it's also like no one's out there trying to screw you or like telling you stuff that's not factual or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, if you find someone like Aaron, I mean, you can get a lot of ground covered, and because he's always out there scouting and looking for sheds and stuff like that, um, and just having the intel of what's going on during the season too, or even getting some intel on what bucks are in that area, even though we didn't really run many cameras last year, almost at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely it's awesome. Plus the camaraderie around it, like I know I wouldn't have as much fun as if I was just going up there alone, like definitely wouldn't be like to bounce stories off of and talk about the hunt
Yeah.
and everything. It's what it's about.
What is hunting without the stories?
Right. Yeah, who you gonna tell?
Yeah. The
Your
experience
wife. Your
without.
wife gonna listen to so much deer stories before she just tells you to shut up.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
Take this baby.
and it goes with everything. Like, I'll tell my wife how Rue went on, my dog went on point yesterday, and how I was like so excited about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's great. He chased a rabbit." Like, it's like
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But I was I'm pretty excited when stuff like that happens.
But it's also good for packing out and just setting up game plans too.
Yeah, and there's nothing
Sweet.
like a pack out with buddies.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's pretty epic to kill one deep in public, but if you don't have to make multiple trips to bring it all out, that's even sweeter.
Yeah. And when I think about packouts, talking with you and me, like, of course I think about the 10 pointer, but I have that one picture of you on your packout where you're like leaning up against a tree, and you have the best rut stash of anybody I've ever seen in that picture.
Still got it,
It
man.
was like, it was all the way down that handlebar.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what kills the Bucks,
Yeah,
man. I
absolutely.
can't.
You can't be without it.
This year was bad until I shaved it and killed like 5 deer. Then after that,
Yeah.
so
Um, what do you think about becoming pretty close hunting buddies? How do you think it's influenced how both of us hunt?
I don't know. I mean, I think we ended up having a lot of similar opinions. We kind of are, and I don't know if this is just because we're similar personalities or whatever, but I know how we both are. It's like we're just in it for the hunt. We love seeing big deer, and we love getting these trail cam pictures of some epic deer. But at the end of the day, me and Aaron aren't the kind of guys that are gonna be passing up your 110-inch 8-pointer,
Not a bit.
on a sweet public land hunt. We're not proud. So, um, but that's been cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. We've just been able to encourage each other, and it's not easy out there, grinding it out during the season. So there's a lot of days where we're really bouncing each other stuff off each other and just discouraged, and you know getting motivation by. You're always a real good motivator. You're like, you're gonna kill one today. I know it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely good.
I think, one thing, not, I think even so for things like learning something a little bit better from you, like you're really detailed about, I know you said that when we hunt public, we don't worry quite as much about the wind, and that's mostly true. Um,
Hmm.
but we're always taking it into consideration. Like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
if I'm expecting, like, especially when we were running cameras up there a lot, like, oh, well, this deer has been coming from this direction almost every time. Like, I'm assuming he's going to come. And I think that you are really good with understanding how the wind is going to roll over the terrain. And that's one, honestly, for me before, I thought about the wind a lot, but I didn't understand it as well until I started hunting with you quite as much. Because I would be like, well, if the wind goes this way, and I'd always be like really honed in on a spot, right?
Yeah.
Like the spot and the spot. I'd be like, well, I gotta hunt this, so I can't hunt it if there's this. And but you were really creative with the wind, and I think that you helped me
Hmm.
learn that a lot of ways. So I think it's always good when you are building these networks of people that you're getting to know, or even if it's somebody from work or whatever. You don't obviously have to meet on public land. With I think our story is pretty unique because there's really no reason that we should have met. And it was funny because I think that when we did meet, you were pretty much either right behind me or right in front of me, and we basically had the same track through the woods and
Yeah.
didn't run into each other till the end. But
Right.
I think that's one thing
Yeah.
that you can do when you're getting hunting buddies is really learn something from the other.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Um, Plus, and back to that wind thing. Yeah, we take it into consideration big time. I think the main point of that was like when you're all set up out there, and it's rut or pre-rut. Sometimes you just gotta say, all right. I remember that meme. I think I sent you, or maybe it was a reel or something like that. It's like, wind shift midday. Dude like turns around in his tree stands, faces the other way. Yeah, it's like that's how it can be out there.
Oh,
So
totally. I think it's probably important to say, like, if you're going, uh, for example, the buck that you killed last year, you were kind of expecting it to use a crossing over that terrain feature. So
yeah,
playing it so that you're really in the most ideal scenario, if a deer is using this, like if you're hunting over or hunting, hunting downwind of a scrape or whatever, something like that.
yeah. I was facing the wrong way for him. He came in. I'm in my saddle, and so want to be shooting in front of me,
Hmm.
and he came in directly behind me, and that's kind of my wind was going, over my right shoulder,
Hmm.
basically where it came from, and it was a hill, but it wasn't that steep. But I think I was just high enough. He was down in that laurel. It was so windy that day that I don't think I'm making this up, but I just don't think that scent like just gets down into that laurel. If it's really windy and you're 20 feet up or 15 feet up, and he's another 30 feet down or so. I think it's just going over him at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I think in wind like that, because I think it wasn't bad in the morning, and it got bad as soon as I hit a buck at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think I
Hmm.
got down at 9, checked the blood, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna back out, and then I'll come back and help you pack out or whatever.
Well, I killed mine at 11:15.
Yeah, and then it picked up I remember getting home, and when I got home, you called me. And you're like, I got one, dude. I got one. He's
Yeah.
down. And maybe an hour before that, the wind had really picked up. And I think that probably benefited you big time because I think you're right. I think that strong wind kind of just pushes things away. It's kind of helpful.
Yeah. It sucks for hearing. You can't hear anything
Yeah.
like a deer walking, but it definitely is. It's definitely helpful for scent elimination, or not elimination, but it can hide your scent pretty good.
Yeah, it sucks for sitting in a tree too.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun blowing around.
I'm afraid of heights, so when it starts blowing, I get a little squirrely.
Yeah.
So one cool thing that you do, man, that I think that this podcast is really going to aim towards. I'm not just going to talk about deer hunting. I've said that. I think I've recorded a couple now, and we've all talked about deer hunting mostly.
Yeah, that's fun. That's what.
Yeah, but it's in camp, and I'm going to talk about as much subjects as hunting and fishing, outdoor recreation kind of stuff as I can. But one thing that I think that you do that I really want to focus on too is the camaraderie aspect of it. I like telling stories. I like hearing people's stories, and I like sharing that element of it and sharing a camp with people.
Hmm.
Whether it's you're coming up for the day or you're packing in there for a week or whatever it is. And I think one thing that you did really well for the last couple of years, I think you took 1 year off, but you run a pretty popular for our area buck contest, a big buck pool. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. That's I guess it's pretty popular in my area, but a lot of local businesses and local people contribute to help me put together this buck contest. And I kind of started it because there was like a little mom and pop like breakfast joint. It was like they sold like bait and tackle, and they had like a deli there, and they sold breakfast sandwiches. It was called Nanny's, and they used to do a buck pool every year. And every time you went in, anytime you're driving by, you would stop in to see the pictures. They were just like Polaroid pictures on the wall
Yeah.
of the bucks, and then they would. I don't even know how they did the scoring. I guess they probably just got the biggest ones back at the end of the year and did the scoring. And it was awesome. Everyone looked forward to it. And then that place closed down, and there was nothing around that did anything like that.
Yeah.
So one of my buddies came to me, and he was like, "Yeah, we should do a buck pool." And we got motivated to do it and started talking to all kinds of people, and everyone was really down with it. I think the first year we had like 100 people. The second year I think we had like 150, and then the third year we had about 200 people. So yeah, it's anyone in PA can join PA Bucks, and um, we do it through archery season and gun season. This next year I'm gonna do it to all the way till the end of late season, because like there's like two or three guys that were in the contest that killed like really nice deer
Really good
after.
deer. Yeah.
And it was like, dang it, we should have waited a little bit longer. And I did a live thing this year. So basically the way it goes is you sign up. I think it was $15 this year. All the money goes back to buying prizes, so I don't make anything off of it. I go out there, solicit a ton of companies to donate prizes and money and all kinds of stuff. This year, I mean, would probably over $4,000 worth of prizes
It
to
was
give
a
away
lot.
to 200 people. It was awesome. And I usually do some novelty stuff like heaviest doe, biggest buck, biggest youth buck, first to kill a buck, first girl to kill a buck, just a bunch of novelty stuff like that they win extra prizes for. And then everyone that's in the contest gets in this big pool to just be picked out of a hat for a raffle. And like I said, that raffle's got, we had guns in it, all kinds of stuff. And so you sign up. Well, you have to be signed up before season starts in early season down here in 5C. So it usually starts mid September. Everyone's got to be signed up before mid September. And when you shoot a buck, you send me the pictures, the date, harvest, the WMU, and I post it on my Instagram account, which is DTRX _ outfitters. and you just follow along with it there, and it goes on my Facebook too. Um, and just kind of brief description, sometimes a little story about the hunt, and then at the end of the year, this year we did it. Well, when was it? Like January or something, early January or something
Yeah,
like that.
sometime in
Right after
January.
Christmas. Right after Christmas, we did it, and then we scored all the bucks that day. So we scored all the bucks that were. I think there was probably like 10 or 15 bucks scored that day between kids' biggest deer and stuff like that. And we just had hot dogs and drinks and did the raffle. It was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome because there were a lot of people that I had met through you or that I knew of through you that I didn't really know, and I got to talk to all those guys and really, you know, swap stories. We talked about elk hunting, and we swapped bird stories and all kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
and I thought it was so cool because I did the camp thing hard this year. You know, I went up to McKean County with a buddy and had a great time, and I thought it was so fun to just be in a room full of like-minded people. You got a really good turnout too. There were probably 80 people there, 85 people.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty decent, and there was just a lot of people that couldn't make it because it was right around that. I think it was like the week after Christmas, so I think people still were doing Christmas plans.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna beat like, all right, everyone's gonna be chilled out after Christmas and come to this thing, but I think people still had a lot of Christmas plans. So I know there was probably a good like 20 people that I knew would have been there if they could,
Yeah.
and I'm sure next year it'll even be even bigger.
Yeah, I just think it's a really awesome time to be able to you know, break the cabin fever and go share your stories from the fall and like your successes and your failures and probably learn a thing or two because your buddy Dave, who has the bird dogs,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
talked to
yeah.
him a lot. We were texting a little bit back and forth last week, but he gave me a lot of good
Nice.
suggestions on he gave me a lot of good suggestions on running some bird dogs because he's real good at it. And
Yeah.
what a cool dude. And he killed the biggest buck, right? Yeah,
Yeah, he was the one that won.
yeah. So
I
we
think
got
there
to
was
hear
I think
his
there was
story.
one other one that was probably bigger than his that wasn't able to bring it to get scored. So I was only kind of going by the books. If it was there, that's what we were scoring. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You play by
but
the
I met
rules.
him. How did I meet him? Oh, I met him when I used to like work on bows and stuff like that. He works for my buddy, and my buddy told him to hit me up, and same situation as me and you. You know, we got talking about hunting and stuff like that. Fixed his bow, and we just became. He's another guy that's like constantly talking with during hunting season. You know,
Yeah.
and he's he's into it. He's a lot like you with scouting and running his dogs and stuff like that. He does a lot of bass fishing too. You guys would get along real
Oh
good.
yeah, for sure. I think the other cool aspect of it was the kids, man. It reminded me of being 12 years old again and going to my hunter safety course and like, you know,
Yeah.
all the old guys that are there telling all these like stories about getting lost in the woods and stuff. But it was cool because those kids got really psyched, especially you know when they got the raffle. Get handed out free hats. They were all pumped about that,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah,
skip
every
on your
kid
hats.
left
They're
with
all
something.
nice, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you're still wearing that
Oh
thing.
yeah, this is my lucky fishing hat, man. I
Nice.
can't. I don't wear it scouting. Nothing. I wear it fishing and for
Yeah, it was
for
cool though
podcasting.
with the kids, you know, being able to give away like the biggest buck, like the biggest kid's buck was like his first buck. He was like a 10 or something like that. It was like a 90-inch 7 pointer or something, just awesome being able to give him, you know, I forget what he won, but it was something decent. You know, it was like $100 or something like
Yeah,
that.
like a Cabela's card or something like that.
Yeah, and then yeah, I made sure that I had enough prizes for all the youth to go home with something, and a couple of them got picked. A couple, I did a giveaway gun for the all the youths that killed a buck, which was like only like 7 youth. I think there was probably like 12 youth signed up, and like 7 of them killed bucks,
Yeah,
and then raffle off a gun to that to them. The girl that shot the first buck, she was like some 12-year-old or 11-year-old. She won the Henry lever action 22. It was awesome.
yeah. Didn't the kid win the heaviest doe too?
No, 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 no. Drew had to have his though. That's what I was thinking. But then it was actually his one guy that works for him, Micah, won the heaviest though. He wasn't even there, so he
Oh,
didn't meet
okay.
him. Yeah.
Drew is another person that this is what I'm talking about when we're talking about the network is like we got a
Hmm.
bunch of buddies like those are guys that you met that end up.
Yeah, they're kind of like my neighbors. I knew of these guys, but never really talked hunting too much with them until we all got chatting about where we hunt.
Yeah, well, Drew and I fish the same lake, and he he's been killing it through the ice this year. So,
Oh, really?
oh, whew.
I didn't know he was up there.
Oh, he's dude. He's been up every weekend. We got ice at the end of January.
Is there still ice?
Yeah, we were just out the other day on Saturday.
Oh yeah, I saw his pictures. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna go out. I was gonna go out tomorrow, but I think it was like 55 degrees up here today, and
it's gonna start falling.
yeah, it's not. I mean, it's 12 inches thick.
Oh, I ain't going nowhere
Yeah,
anytime
but it's gonna
soon
be
then.
all soggy on the top. The
Yeah.
one we were on one lake, and in the beginning, and there was like a soggy spot, and you'd sink like 3 inches down into the ice, and I'm like, oh, that's sketchy. It
Yeah.
feels like you're just going down, you know.
Yeah. Heart skips a
Oh, a
beat.
little bit. I forgot that you kind of. Are you still running a bow shop?
Nah, nah. I have the means to fix stuff,
Means to
but
fix your own
it's
stuff.
only a very select few people that I still do that for. I just don't have the time. I enjoy it, but it's like, it's just not worth it. I have so much to do just to be here for my family right now. I'm not gonna take an hour to go, square up someone's bow or more. Even sometimes it takes longer than that, to tune a bow in
Yeah,
and then charge the guy like $10 or 15.
right.
Like I can't. It's just not worth it.
If somebody were to build their own bow shop, are there like a quick set of tools, or is it a lot of stuff that you gotta accumulate?
Yeah, I mean, besides a bow press, it's all pretty cheap tools you can get. You gotta have like the string and D-loop material and serving string and serving material and all that stuff. But other than that, you need a couple $20 tools, maybe a bow vise and a bow press. Yeah,
Is
it's
there like
kind of
something
like
as an emergency kit somebody could use in the field? Or are there like a couple tools you would suggest people bring in their pack?
I mean, we had a, didn't my bow break that one day?
Yeah.
Screw came out of the can.
That was our first hunt together, and your screw backed out of
That
your
was
cam or something.
crazy. That was funny. I forgot all about that until just right when you said that.
Well, I actually wasn't even thinking of that until you mentioned. Didn't I forget? I was actually being
That was
serious,
like
but
a tiny Torx that you wouldn't have unless you specifically put that in your pack. And yes, the Torx screw like backed out of my cam, and I couldn't draw my bow back. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I guess I'll practice drawing my bow. And I'm like, like only went back like 2 inches. I'm like, what is like? I just remember like being dumbfounded. I'm like, why is my bow not working? And then sure enough, one of those screws were backed out a little bit. But so that would be a great advice to actually go over your bow and make sure that you have all the tools in your toolkit to bring with you. So in this case, I actually put a specific toolkit together for that. I bought like two or three Allen indexes, like the pocket knife looking Allen
yeah,
wrenches. One was like a Torx, one was an Allen key, maybe metric and standard or something like that. And I took them apart and then put one kit together with like that tiny Torx, the
yeah.
next size Torx that my bow takes, and then a couple Allen keys. And ever since then, I never needed it. But yeah, that's something I would recommend taking.
It's definitely
They
something.
make like Bowmedic vices to carry around and stuff like that, but they're kind of clunky. Probably weighs like 2 pounds. It's something. It's just not practical.
Probably
But
something
it's going
fine to
on.
bring on like a Western hunt or something, but
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But not on a day hunt out in PA or something like that. But that's why you just shoot trad. You just have a stick and a string. There's not too much,
bring an extra
too
string.
much to go wrong. Yeah, yeah,
I might get bit by the bug one day, but I'm not there yet.
yeah. I know. I hunted with it off and on last year, but I put up a target in my basement, so I've been trying to shoot when I get a chance when I'm down there with the kids and stuff like that. But I'm going on that elk hunt in 2026, and I kind of was like, yeah, I'm not gonna take my trad bow there because I want to. Obviously, if I have an elk at 40 yards, I want to darn well be able to shoot it. I'm not gonna be able to do it with a trad bow.
Oh yeah.
And so I talked to the guy. I was like, I'm probably gonna bring my compound. And he's like, the shots are close because we're going to like pretty dark timber area. He's like, I like the idea of trad. He's like, less to screw up. You're like shooting from the hip more. He's like, you get these guys in here, they're adjusting their sights. They can't figure stuff out. They can't figure out the pins, and then they shoot for the antlers of the deer, like of the bull.
Yeah.
And he's like, I like just being able to have less thought behind it, more instinctual. And I was like, all right, maybe I should try to get really good at this and over the next year and take my
You got
trad
time to
bow.
practice.
I know, yeah, no excuses.
You,
It's just that far shot would just be that would
oh
suck.
man.
It'd be hard to to swallow.
It's like one of those times where you're a deer hunter and a big buck walks by and it either walks out of your life or you miss and you're like, I'm about to buy me a crossbow.
I would never
I
do
would
that,
never
man.
ever do that, but it's crossed my mind. I'm like, ah, not
Yep.
really. I have one buddy who missed like 3 bucks in 3 days. I think 2 or 3 bucks. Remember I told you this year,
Yeah.
and he was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I don't even know what to do. I'm gonna buy a crossbow." I'm like, "Don't do that. You'll regret it."
Yeah.
So we need to tell. I want a story. So we talked a little bit about some of our bucks and that kind of thing, and I think we need to make more public land stories. Therefore, there's some time to scout together this spring for like a day or
Yeah,
so.
man. Yeah.
But why don't you tell me a little bit about your monster buck on your place that you have been so rightfully blessed with?
Yeah, the first year I owned my property was the golden year for me, I guess you'd say. So down in my neck of the woods, there's not great genes. You get your maybe 130-inch deer here and there
Mm-hmm.
if you're lucky. That's really quite rare. That's like a monster in my neck of the woods. Just high deer population, and just not great genes. But anyway, the year we bought our place here, my we found tons of sheds. It was just eaten up with deer sign. And that summer, I was watching a couple of decent bucks. And one year we're out there on our back porch eating dinner, and my father-in-law goes, "Oh wow, that's a big rack on that deer out there." And deer like just come out pretty often. So it's like, "Oh yeah, check that out." And I'm like, "Man, that thing is really something different here."
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a deer hunter, so it's like you never know when a non-deer hunter, it's like they could see like a 6-pointer and be like, "That's a huge rack."
Yeah, or they could be 100 and say
I got
that
my
too, but
Yeah, true. So I got my binoculars. I'm like, "What the heck is this freak?" I'm like, it's so big. It's just a mainframe 10, and then it had like an 8-inch like squirrely drop tine off the base. And I was like, "This is unbelievable." I'm like, "This is," before then I was the only drop tine buck that I've ever
mm-hmm.
seen. Like, this is unreal. This thing's monster. And I was running cameras all season and all summer and all that, and never had them on camera, not once. And I was like, man, that would be epic to kill that thing, but it was like barely even on my quote unquote hit list. Like, I was going over after some like 110-inch deer like
Mm-hmm.
that was on my hit list. And so it was always in the back of my mind. It'd be sweet to see him. But so November 29th, it's funny because I actually came up hunting up where we go
Yeah.
when he was like running all over my property. I got him on a cell camera, but I didn't know it was him. I just thought it was like a decent buck. And I remember like the activity was so like fluid at my property, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm leaving to go up go up north here and hunt. I'm like, I should just be hunting in my house, but that's just, I was committed. I loved hunting up there, and that was the day I took off to go hunting up there. So I went hunting up
Yeah.
there, and came home the next day, I guess it was, and yeah. So he came in. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning, November 29th. No, it wasn't even 9 o'clock. It was like 7:30. Sorry about that. 7:30, and he came in running two doe. It was really weird. It was like a doe and a fawn, and he came like grunting in, and just gave me a perfect shot. Just hard shot the thing, and he ran off like 30 yards and died. Maybe 60 yards actually. And I remember just like being like in awe. I was like, wow, what the heck just happened? But I had no idea it was that deer. I thought it was just like a decent, respectable. It just like happened so quick. I wasn't looking at the rack. I was too busy trying to film the thing, but I double pressed the record button, so I got nothing on film except some like head camera GoPro, but my camera ran out of battery too. So it was an awful filming disaster. But nevertheless, yeah, that was him. We walked up on him. Went back, got my family. I didn't even see him. I saw him drop. Wasn't positive. As I was walking out of the glass, I could just see that there was a dead deer there, but I didn't look at the rack or anything. Went back on my family. At that point, my daughter was like 2, and my other daughter was like 6 months old or something like that. So it took my wife and my 2 daughters out to find him, and yeah, it was the drop time buck. And I was just like freaking out because I had no idea it was even him. It was like crazy. This thing's been gone like all year, never showed up, and then yeah, it was epic. But that same year, I actually hit one and didn't kill it, and didn't find it. So it was kind of a bad start, but a good mid October or late October ending.
Yeah, man, I remember you struggling a little bit mentally before you killed that deer because you hunted
Yo, yeah.
so hard on public that year.
Yep. Yep. And the year before, and then yeah, that year I hit another buck, which oddly enough had a drop tine as
Yeah, I
well.
remember that.
It was like a 2-inch drop tine, but it was still really cool. And just put an arrow right into its like, you know, whatever you want to call it, no man's land, like 2-3 inches below the spine.
Yeah.
And it was just like, why isn't this thing dead? Tracked it for 2 days, never found it, and then we got it on camera. Like 2 weeks later, still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about this story too that are we allowed to talk about where you were?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was the other cool thing.
Yeah. Your access, you are pristine about your access. That's the other thing that I have also
Try to be.
learned from you is improving your access always matters. But you rode your bike down the road, right?
Yeah, yeah. Rode my bike down the road, came in like off the road, off the backside of my property, and yeah, I was literally like 10 feet from the road in a tree.
Yeah.
It was weird, but it was awesome.
Yeah, and like if you imagine like just like a little bank that goes up to your property, that's kind of what this was, like a,
Yeah,
whatever it is, 20-foot bank.
yeah. So I'm like 40 foot above traffic, if you
Yeah.
will, but still like 10 foot from the road. I could
Yeah.
throw
Yeah, on
throw
one
over a
side you
stone.
can see the double yellow line and the other side
Yeah.
this little pinch, and it's like pretty close. That's pretty close to the yard or the field edge, right? Something right there.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the field corner there. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a perfect little spot for a deer to keep their silhouette away from the road, but also stay out of the open field because it's pretty thick on the one side where you ended up thinking he was bedding between yours and the neighbors with all those briars and stuff.
Yeah, the beauty of it is there's just like no ground scent, and the wind that I was hunting him on, it was just blowing right back to the road. So it was just, yeah, it's absolutely no disturbance there.
Yeah, and that's the way you got to get creative with the wind because you had mentioned about us using access trails to kind of cover our wind because you get a lot of foot traffic,
Right.
and if we have a bad wind and we're close enough to that trail, I think sometimes it fools them into thinking it's just another person
for sure.
walking this road or whatever. And
I strongly agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, and that's like the same concept as like you're using, making sure your wind is blowing over that road. No way they're gonna get you.
Yeah, now I've tried that several times since then and never had any any
Yeah.
luck. But yeah, I missed one with my trad bow this year in that same area, but it was in a little bit. I was up the hedgerow a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good little corner. It can be a good little corner.
Yeah, it's a cool story. And that was a 153-inch deer.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you won the contest that year, didn't you?
I actually got second.
Second.
Drew, what's his face?
Oh,
Kyle
Kyle
won.
Kyle's deer was, yeah, that was a brute too. That was a
That was
buck.
epic. That was an epic year. There was some
Whoa,
monster deer
man.
shot that year.
That was a great year.
Yeah, it was. I think one. His was 156. Mine was 153, and
That's
then
right.
Jim, what's his face? His buddy Micah something. Jim D'Agostino.
Oh yeah,
His
he
buddy Mike had that
his buddy shot a
giant,
giant. Yeah.
wide 10 pointer.
Yeah.
It was like 147 or something like that. It was so wide. That was awesome. It
Yeah,
was
that
such a
was
cool rack.
that was a really good year. That buck that Kyle shot, man, was a monster public land deer. And it's
Yeah.
funny because he did have it on cell cam that morning too, like a mile from where he was
Yeah.
sitting.
Yeah. Literally, I think it was actually over a mile.
Yeah,
It was like a
he
mile and a
measured it.
half or
I don't
something.
remember exactly how far it was,
It
but
was,
it
it
was
was
far.
something like way. It was like almost hard to believe. It was so far.
Yeah,
It was like 2 miles or 3 miles or
yeah,
something
and in
crazy.
the
It was
amount of time that it took to get there, it wasn't very long.
no. Yeah, that was sick. That was an awesome year.
I think that was like November 4th or something like that. And the one thing that I love that you and I have started is when we kill a deer, we either get a picture or a video of a fist pump.
Of course, man. Of course.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things on that one of the last archery bucks I shot. You sent me that video and I was like, I had a rough year that year mentally. And I remember being like, I smoked one, and you're just sending me the video. Yeah. It's still on my
Yeah.
Instagram. Go see it. It's like Rut 2022 or something. Troy, you'll see
Yeah.
Troy fist pumping.
Yeah.
But so this is something I've been asking everybody. I don't I'd say I don't know if this question is going to stick around, but I think it's important right now. What kind of impact does hunting have on your life? Is it something that's like so important to you that you couldn't live without it? And if it is, what makes it important, and how are you gonna spread it around, and what good things can you spread around about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to say that I can't live without it, but honestly, for me, the most important thing is following Jesus. So that comes priority, and for me, that gets in the way a lot. Too, hunting gets in the way a lot of that. Sometimes I sacrifice, my relationship with Jesus, just thinking more about hunting than that. So I just want to kind of first talk on that, but so that's something that's something to be noted. But otherwise, yeah, hunting is. I would not want to live without it. It's given me so much hope, and in fact, that same kind of the way I started out about Jesus is, yeah, I like to talk about myself pre-Jesus. I found Jesus when I was like 23 or something like that, and before that, I was an average sportsman, if you will. Like I would only hunt a couple times a
Yeah.
year, go up bow hunt here and there, just very nonchalantly. And when I stopped just like partying my brains out and stuff like that, hunting became like almost what I lived for. Besides, I got saved and was on fire for Christ too. But it was just such a good avenue for me to not go out and party all night and go out hunting the next day, kind of thing. So that has an awesome avenue for that. But as for me and my family and stuff like that, it obviously fills my freezer with tons of meat, and that saves us a ton of money. But it's something that look forward to like crazy, passing along to my children and stuff like that. And even like my brothers and my dad were all big hunters and stuff like that. My nephews, it's so awesome, and I just love the thinking of in the future my generations of hunting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I don't know. I definitely, push comes to shove, sure I could live without it, but I wouldn't want to, right?
Yeah. I think I think you're right about sometimes that it does get in the way of my relationship with Jesus too. And I think that's one goal for me. I'm not really a goal oriented person, so I hate when I say one goal for me. But that's
Right.
one thing that I want to be different, and I think that's one thing that I want to share because I think the opportunity about hunting is not really that great if it's all solo. Like
Yeah.
obviously I love to deer hunt by myself, but I want to pack it out with somebody or I want to share the story with somebody when I'm done. And although my wife is very patient and listens to all my stories without fail, she's like, "You have a buddy that you could tell this to, you know?" um, but on that same token, I would like that to change about me, about not letting it get. If hunting is that important to me, then I'd like to share Jesus with other people and use this as an opportunity to do that. Like
Hmm.
if I'm gonna hunt and I'm gonna spend so much time on it, then I want Christ to be glorified in it somehow.
Hmm.
And I hope that means when I am helping to bring up the next generation of hunters, or, for me, I don't know, maybe my daughter will be into it. She likes hunting. She likes to eat the meat. She likes that
Hmm.
I go hunting.
Hmm.
But it might not be her thing, and that's okay with me. But for me,
Right.
it's like I have a lot of adult friends that are getting into hunting now because it's something
Yeah,
that's
you do a good job with that.
yeah, and I can't say that I've had a lot of people, get into it, but that's something that I'd like to continue to do when people are serious about it. So I think this is one thing that we can use. Hunting's had so much of an impact in our life. Jesus had so much of an impact in our life, and that's a good thing to pass along on both
Sure.
ends.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I look forward to it, and I think that even like it's kind of weird. Like I have a men's group that we meet every other week at my house in my bow shop actually, and I started that by kind of like putting something on social media, and I was like trying to reach just like-minded people.
Hmm.
And here, we meet every other week with like 8 or 9 guys here, and we're all like diehard hunters. So it's like it's pretty cool, and it's also like we can kind of keep each other accountable with like is this something that is that you're idolizing, over Jesus and stuff like that. And it helps us keep each other in check, especially hunting season comes around. You gotta make sure that our boys are staying at home sometimes with their family when they should and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I guess those Bible studies when October hits is like, all right, Jesus wept. All right, so the wind tomorrow.
Let's talk about yeah, dude, yeah. It's like we'll be like, all right, 2 hours in, we're like, all right, we got to start this Bible study.
I would like to think that if Jesus was there in the room with you, he'd be talking about wind direction too, though.
Yeah, yeah, maybe he could explain the thermals a little bit better to us.
Yeah. He might say like cast your nets on the other side of the boat or something.
Yeah, yeah, on the other side of the
Peace be
mountain.
still. Wind move direct. I don't know, something. But dude,
Yeah,
I'm so glad that we got to do this, and you are in my top three hunting buddies.
yeah,
I'll
man.
tell you, man, I have been blessed by you because I am very impressed all the time that you are. I've been a Christian for a long time, like a really long time. I got saved when I was 5, and you've
Hmm.
told me your story, and I've always been so impressed with how you never stop talking about Jesus and how you never stop talking about hunting, and both of those things combined, I think I think are a really powerful tool in our space and the things that we like to do and the people that we associate ourselves with. So thank you for having that influence on me, and can't wait to get back out there with you, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Yep, appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yep, have a good one.
That's all we have for today, folks. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Check out Troy at Dietrich's Outfitters on Instagram and In Camp Podcast on Instagram. Thanks again. This is In Camp Podcast.